friends, welcome back. For those who are new to me, my name is Adeola and I live here in Merida, Yucatan, Mexico, where I share my experiences as a single woman living here in Merida. Now, today's video will be quickly going over a post that I saw in one of the Facebook groups that I'm in, and it's about paying construction workers fair wage on the part of the client. So here in Merida, many of the service providers they can be deceitful, many of them very deceitful. And I've shared just some of my experiences dealing with them in this past 6 months. Now, I found this post just yesterday from a guy who has been living here for a while. And I believe in the past few years that he's been living here, he's had to deal with many service workers, mostly construction workers. And I think after a few years of getting overcharged and ripped off, he decided to, take charge by going out there to actually ask around for prices. What are other people paying? How much are other construction workers charging for the same service? So one thing is that people will give you a price based on their experience, sometimes based on their prestige, and sometimes based on how they perceive the client. So if you are a foreigner, they can tell you're not from the area, then they can also give you a different price, even though the job will be the same. Sometimes actually the job might actually be substandard. So these guys sometimes will overcharge you and underdeliver, which can be very frustrating. So this guy left a post in a Facebook group just sharing about the fact on his part, I guess he had a win and he wanted to share his win, but it went the other way, like it often does in many Facebook groups where people feel like they can just express their opinion. So he left a message and he said, "Oh, bless their sweetheart. My construction team is unhappy that I know the per meter price for things now and cannot overcharge me anymore. We need to share the price of things more before I pay blindly. Now I'm measuring everything as we should, and I'm giving them the price instead of the other way around." Now, when he said I'm giving them the price instead of the other way around, I actually do need to take this advice, because a lot of times I'm asking them, hey, how much do you charge? And then they give me a bogus price, which I'm thinking, that sounds kind of expensive, but okay, well, you came highly recommended, so let me go with you. But in many cases, it usually ends up that those people even rip me off. But like I've said a few times in this on this channel, just because somebody refers a service provider to you doesn't mean you shouldn't do your due diligence, because they might have loyalty to one person, and then when it comes to your turn, that loyalty goes out the window, right? Or sometimes actually, because they came highly recommended from someone that they respect, they might want to do a good job for you. So when you let the person who referred you know, right, at least you can report back to them and you can give them a good report about this person, right? Because sometimes they care about their reputation and they don't want anything to taint their reputation. But in many cases, many service providers can be quite shady. So, and also when he said giving them the price, so just a few days ago, somebody came by my house on a Sunday. I was actually getting ready to go out, but I wanted to do some work first. This guy came asking for some money. That happens once in a while. Sometimes I gave, sometimes, sorry, I don't have cash. And so this guy came and I gave him a little bit. I even gave him water and like something to eat. And then he asked me like, hey, do you need someone to get some things done? I'm actually looking for some work. I was like, okay, you know what? I actually do need somebody to weed an overgrown grass in a property nearby me, right? So, and he told me, you know what? Actually, that's what he does. Like, he will go around different houses and then he will just help people to weed the grass and just take care of the property so that it looks good. So I took him over to the house. I showed him the state. I asked him. Even though when I asked him, I was like, hey, I should have actually told him, okay, this is how much I want to pay you. Do you agree with it? Yes or no? If no, then you can keep panhandling. Because that was pretty much what he was doing. Like, he was walking from one house to the other. And yeah, to just make a little bit of money to eat. But this guy saw the amount of work and he gave me a price, 350 pesos. I was like, well, that sounds, because I was looking at the amount of work, but he just went really quickly, like, okay, let me just give her a random price. So to me, I was thinking, okay, this is actually a big piece of land. And then, yeah, I was okay, 350 pesos, okay, that's it. And then I left him. I told him I'll be back in an hour, but I didn't go because I was like, probably in an hour, it's not going to be done. This guy, after 2 hours, he came back and he told me the job was done. Guess what? When I went to go check out the job, he had only done like one quarter of the job. I was like, what do you mean? Like, you told me you were finished, right? But anyway, we went back and forth, and then he wanted to charge me more. Like, oh, actually, the job was actually more. I was thinking to myself, you should have checked in detail before giving a price. And also, I also take responsibility because I thought I should have actually told him, here is my price, do you want or not? You're the one walking around, looking for a job, and I'm willing to actually give you a job instead of you just going around house to house on a really hot Sunday afternoon. Because here in Merida, many families will go out on a Sunday. So I don't know why he thought it was a good idea to be going around house to house on a Sunday afternoon, knowing that most people will not be home. So anyway, at the end of the day, he went from 350 pesos. He wanted to charge me 500 pesos or something, or 450. I think I gave him 400 and he was still asking for more. And then I told him, okay, there's still some job to be done. Come back the next day. And then again, he wanted to charge me 600 pesos or something to finish clearing the land. I was like, no, this is too much, because daily wage here is about 600 to like 800 pesos, depending on the job. Like, they work from 8 to 5. And so I told him, so he knew that, I know sort of, what's going on in the city. So the next day again, he came back. Actually, I didn't even think he would come back, because he was only expecting, like, I gave him 10 pesos, but I ended up paying him another 400 pesos, which usually that's enough for a few days. But apparently he has a child, and like, it's back to school. He needed to go do some shopping for the child to go back to school the next day, which I'm thinking, you've known in the past 1 or 2 months when this child will be going back to school. So maybe that's why on that Sunday, he felt pressure, like, okay, I really need to go out, make some money so I can buy a few things for my child going back to school, like tomorrow. So this guy came back. He told me you come back on Monday morning at 8. It didn't show up till 10 o'clock. I was like, hey, what's going on? I thought you told me you come at 8 and then you come with a friend. He told me the friend wasn't interested because he actually walked. He walked from his house to my house. About 40 minutes, he said. So I was thinking to myself, wait, but I paid you yesterday. Why couldn't you use the money that I paid you yesterday to take the bus? Like, you could have taken the bus. And then he just had an excuse, like, he doesn't know the bus route. He doesn't know which bus to take, whatever. So I took him to the line. I showed him, okay, again, take a look in detail. How much? Take a look in detail. And then I think he wanted to charge me 600 or something. I was like, no, listen, this is how much I have. 300 pesos. And then he kept going back and forth. 350. I was like, 300, 350, 300. And I was like, okay, whatever, just do. And then he told me apparently he had to leave in 2 hours. I was like, does this guy need a job or not? Or not? And that's one thing about many of the service workers. It doesn't matter if it's a cleaner, a maid, a plumber, construction worker, what have you. They will come to you telling you that they need a job. And when you do offer them the job, and obviously as a foreigner, you're paying them a little bit more than what's standard, because, maybe the typical Mexicans, it will pay them 400 pesos for the same job, or even more. They'll charge you more, but they do less work. Let's say, for example, you hire someone to come clean your house. To clean a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom house for a Mexican, maybe they charge 400 pesos. To you, you probably live in you might live in a 2-bedroom apartment, so it's only 1 floor. 2-bedroom apartment, 1 bath, 2 bath, they will probably charge you the same, or maybe even a little bit more, like 500 pesos, 600 pesos. And to you, as a foreigner, you're thinking, oh, that's only 30 bucks. Oh, that's only this much. In my country, it will cost this much. So you pay them, and then you give them lunch, and then you give them a little bit more, like tips or something, right? And so that just creates a cycle of entitlement, and that's how they keep raising the prices up and up. So going back to my story, so this guy on a Monday, like a few days ago, and then again he went, and then he came back after an hour and 30 minutes, like, hey, I'm done. I was like, well, what do you mean you're done? Like, I know this work should take you a few hours. And then again, I went to go see it. This guy only did a little bit of the job. And then I paid him 300 pesos, even though, so 300 pesos and then 400 pesos the day before, now that's 700 pesos. Even though that job, a typical Mexican would have paid 400 pesos, thereabouts. But I paid him almost double, right? Because I felt bad for him. I wanted to help him out in his shop. And I even told him that same day, I was like, listen, I wasn't planning to spend all this money. As a matter of fact, I'm doing you a favor. So, because this guy became greedy. I gave him 300 pesos. It was still asking me for money for the bus. I was like, what do you mean money for the bus? I just gave you 300 pesos. And it was like, oh, really? Oh. I was like, I gave you 300 pesos. Like, why don't you take money from that 300 pesos to pay for your bus? Like, why am I responsible for your transportation, even though you told me that you usually walk everywhere because you can't, for some reason, afford the bus? I gave you 400 pesos yesterday and another 300 pesos today, because I'm trying to help you out. And now, you're becoming greedy, right? So he told me, okay, I'll come back tomorrow, I'll finish everything, I'll do everything. And then again, he wanted to charge me a crazy price. So I was like, listen, like, we can just leave this job as is. Do you want the job or not, right? He told me he'll come back the next day, finish the job, take his time, show up at 8 a.m. And it's been 2 or 3 days, and this guy hasn't been back. Because I think he noticed that with each day, one day I paid him 400 pesos, the next day I paid him 300 pesos, and I told him, listen, this job should have taken you just one day to do with, and also I think I'm paying you too much. And remember, I'm doing you a favor because you said you needed to take care of your child, right? I'm doing you a favor. So remember, you came on a Sunday. I wasn't even ready. I wasn't even planning on spending all this money, because as you can see, this land has overgrown grass, and it's been like that for months. So I think he knows that this lady cannot be messed with. So I think that's why he stopped coming. But yeah, and also I wasn't surprised he didn't come, because I was actually surprised he came back the next day, because I didn't think he would come back. Because hey, I gave him so much money that, let's say he actually continued working from one house to the next, it might have taken him like 2 whole days, like from morning to afternoon, to make that much money. But within 2 hours, he made that money very easily, right? Yeah, so that's one thing about dealing with some of the service providers here. Many times you have to be very firm, and also you have to know the general price of things, the average price of things. And I have so many more experiences that maybe I'll be sharing bit by bit in future videos. So now going back to this this post that was made on this Facebook page about this guy actually going to do his own research, and then he now found out how much that same service should have actually cost. So I've already read his post, and a few people actually left comments, and I wasn't surprised by the comments left, because a lot of people here feel that just because you are a foreigner, you should pay the local people more. You should pay them more than what they asked you to pay. You should pay them more than they themselves are paying, right? So entitlement to people's money. So, and yeah, this person said, yeah, you can have a raw estimate on a basic square meter, but not every square meter of construction costs the same. It depends on the finishes, the quality of the materials, and how specialized your crew is. Right? So which makes sense, right? So it's not gonna be the same. So it depends on the type of job. But obviously, I'm sure this guy was comparing apples to apples, not apples to oranges, right? But yeah. And then somebody said, be careful and be fair with your crew. If they're unhappy, I bet they won't do a good job. If you're unhappy, usually they won't even take the job. And that's one thing that I've noticed here. Money doesn't motivate the people here. So that's why sometimes they can overcharge you for a job, but they will still do substandard work. They will still do mediocre work. So just because they overcharge you doesn't mean they will over-deliver. They will go over and beyond. No, they will overcharge you, but they will still do mediocre work. Even worse work that they will do if they were to work with a Mexican, for example. This other person said that good, but that's not mandatory. It's just a reference, which is good. And someone says, if you don't trust your builder, you need a new builder. But I guess this guy was just looking for basic job to be done. Like he wanted to fix his floors, I think. So it wasn't like he actually wanted to build a whole house, just a simple job. And then this other comment says that always get 3 quotes, which is important. Always get 3 quotes, so that way you know what to expect. But sometimes all those 3 quotes can be, they can still overcharge you, especially if they know that you are a foreigner. Now, you can ask a Mexican friend to help you out, but then sometimes, that can be an inconvenience to them, because then you're asking them to do things for you all the time. So unless maybe you can hire an assistant and then they can do that. But for me, I feel like sometimes I feel like I'm disturbing somebody, so I'll rather do stuff on my own, because even if they do ask you for the price, you still need someone to check their work. And then somebody left a comment, and she said that so far I've yet to find local construction workers who produce good work and or who are not thieves. I have pictures to prove it. So yeah. And then somebody now came blaming a victim, saying that good work costs money, you get what you pay for. Now the thing is, this phrase, you get what you pay for, always annoys me, because you are supposed to get what you pay for, and you're not supposed to get what you didn't pay for. So if I paid for something, I should get what I paid for. So I don't know why people feel like, they can blame you for something that's not in your control. And as a matter of fact, for me, as a victim of a scammer, I paid for a service, but I didn't get that service. Now, what would you say about somebody like me who paid for something but didn't even get what she paid for, right? So you get what you paid for. You're supposed to get what you paid for, sir. You are supposed to get what you paid for. And then because I think this guy runs a construction company, and I will never work with this kind of a person, because this is the kind of a person that will degrade a customer, that will disrespect a customer. And it looks like he's from the US or something. And this is kind of a person that when you're trying to negotiate with them, because in business you're supposed to negotiate, when you're trying to negotiate with them, they will feel insulted. They'll feel like you're looking down on them. They feel like you don't value their work. And then he now went on to leave another comment saying that I think you are missing a few things, such as the quality of work, quality of materials, building trust, warranty of work, and a whole bunch more. Sure, you can get it for half price, but you get what you pay for. Again, saying the same thing again. And like I said, I'm going to be sharing this screenshot. So people are so quick to judge, right? Somebody paid for something, and she said that so far she hasn't found good work, meaning that she has worked with so many people, right? And I'm sure she paid those people a good pay, because here nobody would accept a payment or would accept a job that will pay them less, unless they are desperate. If they're desperate, maybe they will take it. Even if you do take it, you should make sure that you do that job well, because guess what's going to happen? You do a job for someone and you do it well, they're going to refer you to someone, especially if they know that, hey, this guy gave me a discount, right? They will refer you to people, they will shout your praises, and then from there you can now increase your prices bit by bit. Because at the beginning, usually as a new person, as a new business owner entering the market, you probably might charge less, or you might take a contract that will pay you a little bit less. But the more you build your client base, now that gives you the confidence to now increase your prices. So even if you pay a little bit less than what standard, you should still get good job. I don't even believe in getting substandard work, because if you're not happy with the job to begin with, you feel like you're going to be losing, right? You shouldn't even take the job in the first place. Just tell the customer, hey, we're really busy with other clients. Whenever you're ready, here's our price. And that's one thing that I've experienced. These guys will overcharge me, but still when I try to negotiate, they'll tell me no, because here's my job, here's this. And then when I eventually give them the job, guess what they do? They give me mediocre work. So, and then The same person now responded. She said, I recently had a carpenter, this carpenters again, who was highly praised, not cheap, who produced low quality work. And then this carpenter was totally insulted by me daring to show him the flaws in the work. So I'm sure this carpenter guy and this other guy that left a comment about you get what you paid for, they are probably colleagues, or they probably think the same way. Like, how do you overcharge someone and then you do substandard work for them, and now when they're trying to tell you that, hey, I'm not happy with your job, now they feel insulted? And that is another culture here in Merida. They will do substandard work for you, and when you're trying to tell them like hey, please fix this, please fix that, this is the good, that's not good, they'll feel like you're insulting their work, right? And they'll be unhappy. And so these guys, if you try to bring them back, because at least they did okay work for you, you have that reputation with them, they didn't run away with your money. If you try to re-employ them, even though I wouldn't even recommend that, then that's when they won't come back. So that goes back to this guy that I was trying to do a favor, who did like half of the job, like the same pay, right, for half of the job, right? So I'm so glad this lady came back to respond. And then the person who actually made the post originally said that I'm not asking for half price, I'm asking for a honest price. Tired of being ripped off. Back in the day when I made more money and things were cheaper, I didn't care. But now it's penny pinching time, right? He now responded again to this guy that said, you got what you paid for. So he said, but it was funny to see his smirk when he knew that I knew. It was like, it was a kid being caught, right? So again, as a foreigner, if something costs it costs 200 pesos, they will charge you 500 pesos and they will try to justify that. But I think this guy in the past would just pay them when things were good for him. But I guess now that everything is so much more expensive and a lot of people are actually struggling, right? So now that makes you actually check everything. Somebody who is a local actually said that locals really try to avoid using contractors that are outside of their family network for these reasons, because again, there is a lack of trust. So people would rather work with their cousins or people that they know and they trust, and also they know where they live. Let me quickly read through this comment. This comment got quite a few likes, and I don't really know why, because I feel like the comment was rude. But here's what he said. I guess he was actually speaking people's mind. He said, so now you're aware more so than contractors? Do you monitor material cost at every supplier weekly? I've built 13 projects in 2 states. Labor and experience vary frequently. If I'm still at a constant, ongoing learning and monitoring stage, you can't possibly be fully aware of the big picture. Try to be humble and get off your podium. You're wary of overcharging because it's common worldwide, but you don't have a clue really. Wow. This guy only needed basic things to be done. It wasn't like he was trying to build a house. And also, he probably was buying his own material. So he was only paying for labor. That's it. Not labor and materials. Just labor. And yeah, again, certain professionals are very hard to work with because they feel like because they've been in the business for so long, nobody can criticize the work and they know everything. And now the author of the post now came to just wrap everything up, and he said that I should add, everyone told me I was being overcharged for years, but I had no time to verify everything. Back in those days, rentals were cheap and fun, and I renovated rentals to make life more enjoyable. So I guess he was renovating properties that he was renting. But since COVID and even in the last year, prices are sky high, and that changes the game. The game now is get out your graph paper, measuring tape, and ask the per meter price, and you do the math. I won't go back the old way. Good for you, good for you. Like, it's always good to, speak out for yourself and do not let people bully you. So I can see how some people might have felt that, he was on his high horse and he needed to get down. But if people are telling you, constantly that, hey, you're paying too much, you're paying too much, you're paying too much. But I guess back then he didn't care because, it was a different time, right? But now, we all have our own limits. We all have our own limits. Yeah, people take advantage of you, they take advantage of you, but you just keep letting things go until it gets to that point where you're like, you know what, no, enough is enough, right? So maybe his finances change, coupled with the fact that everything now is more expensive, right? Everything is more expensive, cost of living is going up, but people's wages are not going up. So why should I be paying more when my employers are not even paying me more, right? So I definitely agree with this person, right? So to summarize things, to wrap things up, if dealing with any service worker, it doesn't matter if it's construction, even if they're just cleaners, plumbers, AC cleaners, it's always good to get like 3 to 4 quotes. 3 to 4 quotes from different people, just so you know what's included and what's not. It's always good to also ask prices. So if you like a few weeks back, I wanted to clean my AC and I got various quotes for the same job. It went from 400 pesos to I think 1,000 pesos to do a simple job. Okay, so it's always good to just ask around, right? Ask around, because right now I'm having local Mexicans who moved from other parts of Mexico complain about how things are much more expensive here in Merida. That wasn't the case in the past. Now they're saying that even Merida is more expensive than places like Tulum, Playa del Carmen, Mexico City, and even people who are from outside of Mexico are saying that some things are more expensive here than where we're coming from, right? So it's always good to, number one, think in local currencies, and 2, try to get different quotes, and 3, just be firm. Be firm, do not overpay. For me, at this point, until I get my money back from the guy who scammed me, at least I get some of it back. If I do, I hope so. I am not overpaying anybody. You do a job, you tell me 400 pesos, I'm paying you. I'm not paying you extra for doing your job well, because guess what? None of my employers in the past paid me for doing my job well, because that was my responsibility. My responsibility then was to do the job well. If possible, do it even better than they expected, because then that's how you get raises. That's how you get promotion at work. That's how you get recognition at work. That's how you get even year-end bonuses, right? So if someone does your job well, to the standard that I'm looking for, I am not paying you extra, because that's exactly what I'm looking for. Now, what I can do for you though is to send you more business, so that you're not having to go out there to be looking for more work. And at least, you might even get to a stage whereby you have too much work that you might need to hire people to join your company. So it goes from a solopreneur to not having a real business, or even you get to a point whereby you can actually turn some businesses away. That's the best way that you can get a compliment from a client, not from tips or them overcharging you. Now, for me, that's what I believe in. I don't believe in overpaying somebody, because all the jobs that I've done, my employers didn't overpay me. They didn't pay me more just because I did my job well. They would tell me good job, but they didn't pay me more. And on this side of the world, money doesn't motivate people. Just because you're paying somebody above market rate doesn't mean that they will actually give you a standard that's above market rate, or that's above what they actually want to do, because sometimes they will actually subcontract. So if you're working with, let's say, carpenter, he might get his assistant to do the job. He wouldn't even do the job, right? So yeah, that's one thing to also keep in mind. So you don't always get what you pay for here in Merida. You should always be firm. Ask around for prices, and it's up to you to choose the best one. Maybe not the cheapest one, because now people are saying that even if you choose the cheapest one, they're gonna give you a cheap job. But if you choose the most expensive, they're gonna give you quality work. It doesn't always work. Not even in Mexico, all over the world. Just because you're paying, $10,000 for a particular brand name item doesn't make that brand name more superior than no name. Sometimes you're paying for prestige. Sometimes you're paying for the lifestyle of these CEOs, right? So that's why for me, I will go with at least, whom I feel most comfortable with. Here, in the past few months, I've been trying something out. I will go with maybe one of the cheaper quotes, right? Because I've gotten to a point whereby I know that just because you're paying a high price for a service doesn't mean you're gonna get an excellent service. So I'd rather pay less and get normal service, and then if I need more added on, I'll just hire somebody else, right? Well, at least that has been how I've been doing things here in Merida. So let me know what you think about this video, and if you do live in Merida and you have experiences with service providers, good or bad or neutral, please do let me know in the comment section below, and what are some tips that you got from this video. And also remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and if you are subscribed already, you can just click on the like button to let YouTube know that you found value in the video. And if you feel like you know somebody that that should watch this video, you can just click on the share button to share with them. All right, thank you for watching this far, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.